Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight on episode 22, season 5 of the Standoff with Brad and Richie here on New Zealand Sport Radio. We're here live every Wednesday on Facebook throughout the season. Evening, Richie. Well, the Warriors were back this round, but it was another loss to forget, unfortunately. How are you and how was your weekend?
Yeah, hey, Brad. I'm doing well. Warriors game aside, obviously that one stung, but yeah, doing well. As you can see, I'm not at home. I'm out of town for work in Napier, so yeah, enjoying the peace and quiet. How about you?
Yeah, it's always nice and quiet here. As I say that as the car brooms past, but it's good. Warriors game. It was a late night on Friday and very disappointing. But there were some good matches that we'll talk about later on, and congratulations to you for New South Wales winning in a game we'll talk about very shortly too. So quite a productive week of footy, but I don't really want to talk about that Warriors game, but we have to. But while we're here on Wednesday evenings at 8 p.m, you can also catch our show at your convenience on iHeartRadio and Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. As always, we're going to cover everything you need to know in the week that was Rugby League, including our top stories of the week, a review of Origin Game 3 and the Round 20 matches. We'll then stop and answer some questions from you guys as well. Some questions were prepared for each other. We'll then preview Round 21 and decide who we're picking before ending with a quick recap of Super League. So remember to send us comments and questions throughout the show, and we may as well jump straight into the top stories, Richie.
Yep, let's go.
First one's not really news. It's just an update for next week. I've already discussed it with you and Paul, Richie. Due to some prior commitments, we're going to delay the show. I'm going to be a bit late, so we'll start the show next week at 8:30. Just a one-time deal. Shit happens basically. But I've never missed a show, so I wanted to be selfish and said, let's push it back instead of just doing it without me. But yeah, in the reminders and that I do during the week, I'll put the time up. But we'll go into proper news now. The big talking point around the Origin decider was the sin binning of Cameron Murray, who became the first player in professional rugby league history to be sin binned from the bench. Queensland captain Dale Terry Evans said he believed the action should have been dealt with more severely, but that his side just didn't get the rub of the green. What do you reckon? You're the New South Wales guy. Sin bin from the bench.
Yeah, interesting. Hey, it's kind of hard to argue. He did come sprinting from a long way out. When it comes to what Cherry Evans is talking about, if the roles were reversed, his tune would be very different. I'm 100% certain on that. Just coming across like a bit of a whinger, typical Queenslander. But yeah, it's hard to argue. And Haumole Olakau'atu as well, and picking up a suspension, not even dressed in game kit. Yeah. But what do you do though? You know, when it's To'o and Luai being flogged by half of Queensland's team, you're going to stand up for your mates in that arena, aren't you?
Yeah, like I'm obviously on the Queensland side in terms of supporting the teams. I could see the argument on Cameron Murray coming in from the bench and doing it. I would only side with him if like Cam Murray was in there and threw fists and stuff instead of kind of just getting into the push apart. He shouldn't have done it, but like as you said, and you've seen all the pictures everywhere, there's like the whole Queensland side and then two little blue guys. So just helping out. As you said, if it was the other way around, it would be a different tune. I just felt for poor old Mitch Barnett being the guy picked to actually leave the field in that situation. But yeah, they kind of had to try to pull something after the embarrassing performance they kind of put on. But yeah, I think NRL came out and basically said they're fine with the decision. But yeah, it is what it is, really. I I see Jacko said he saw there was a Vegas package deal on the Warriors site, $5,000 for flight, game tickets, and 5 nights accommodation. Is it worth it? If you got the money, I think it's a great deal. It's not in my price range, so I saw it and went, oh man. If Paul had sorted his shit out and had our multis a bit better, then we probably could have afforded to go over. But he keeps stuffing the multis up every week.
Those two boys could not select a winner in a bloody one horse race. But so yeah, we'll start a GoFundMe to get Brad over there.
I think it's already sold out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw it sold out.
Well, the package deal is sold out.
Yeah.
Oh bugger.
It opened at 11, and I think it was only a couple of hours, and they're all gone. Simon says, remember, gamble responsibly. I try to use Paul's money.
Yeah. I need daily reminders of that, Simon.
Yeah.
I have alarms set on my phone. Please gamble responsibly.
Yeah, but I don't, unfortunately. But yeah, I encourage everyone else to. I have a problem. But we'll move on. We talked about it last week about Jason Riles. The Storm have officially released him. As we said, it was in discussions. So he can focus on his new role with the Eels. He's apparently also agreed that he won't poach any of the Storm players. And he's also going to bring in his own assistants, which will see interim coach Trent Barrett on the lookout for another gig. There's been, I'll keep going because there's a whole lot of stuff coming out of the Eels at the moment. There's apparently rumors that they're willing to offer Blaise Talangi the fullback spot in 2025 to get him to stay with the club, and that Mitch Moses may become the new captain with Gutho getting it taken off him. So I'm assuming Riles has had some input in these things. They wouldn't be making these calls when he's waiting to start. But yeah, a lot of moving and shaking. You happy with his decision so far?
Yeah, but I don't care either way. It's not my team. I'm happy to see them come last.
We do a show for all the teams, mate. You gotta
give me some input, mate. Where does that leave Gutho?
Right off the bench. Is it good? Is he doing well? Is he doing badly? Jeez, I've got to do everything around here.
Yeah.
Anything is an improvement from where they're sitting right now. To be fair, they've got a bottom of the barrel interim coach in Trent Barrett, and they're going to want to keep a guy like Blaise Talangi because he's very young and he's got a long, promising career ahead of him. So, if that's what they feel like they need to do to keep him around, then do that. But where does that Gutho out to the centres?
Well, no, because they got Lomax coming in.
Yeah, but he can play wing.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to play wing, remember? So it could be Gutho on the wing.
He's an origin player at wing.
Yeah, I know, but these guys, he's been coming out saying that he never had an issue with playing wing. Now he's changed his tune after it seems to be working. But Gutho, it was a while ago. He in an interview he said he would play anywhere that helps the team.
They got Dylan Brown. Yeah, off the bench.
So time will tell what happens with Gutho there. And Jacko said Barrett's actually a top assistant attack coach. He'll get a job somewhere. Yeah, I've got no issues with him as an assistant. I just think he's a rubbish head coach.
Yeah.
But as an assistant, he'll definitely get a gig somewhere. But it's wise for Riles to bring in people he's comfortable with. His job's on the line if it doesn't work. So you got to have guys that you're going to work well with. I don't think he's ever worked with Barrett at any of the clubs he's been with. So it makes sense he'd bring his own crew in. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It's good to see him making decisions. There's a few players I think that will be on notice to probably no longer be there once he's in charge, but time will tell. And hopefully it works out for them, but not too well. I want them to be a team that ends up below the Warriors in 2025. But Blaise Talangi I think is a must. They have to keep him. He's just got too much talent to let walk out the door.
Yeah,
Moving on, nothing confirmed really, but Andrew Abdo has been asked about the length of the competition once they expand, and he said that the NRL is going to consider making it a shorter competition once they're at that 20 teams. Said until then it's kind of status quo, but once you've got more teams involved, they can start thinking about changing things up, which I think is wise because they complain about how long the season is already. But yeah, I still think 20 teams, like 19 or 20 rounds, you could play each other once, throw in some like internationals and stuff, and you can make it work. But it all depends on a lot on what the TV people want, because they're the ones that are paying all the money.
Well,
so
I agree with you about play each other once. It's just 20 rounds is a lot of games to shave off, for broadcasters to swallow.
Yeah, so there'll be a healthy like meet in the middle number, I think, for the TV people. So we'll see. But the next bit might be a bit more of a discussion point. But Warrior CEO Cameron George and plenty of former players in both union and league have spoken out this week about the racist and negative comments that were sent to Chanel Harris-Tavita after the Warriors lost on the weekend, advising that they're not the reason, or he's not the reason they lost that game, and that it's just not. They didn't say nice. They just it's not a great thing to do to send comments there. You would have seen on social media some screenshots of some stuff that people were just sending, which was pretty bad. And there was actually, I can't remember who it was, someone made a comment about the NRL themselves promoting like anti-bullying and like looking after the players, but then they kept like on social media was showing the misconversion and the footage of him crying in the changing rooms, and were just spreading it everywhere, kind of fanning the flames of people that were obviously upset. We spoke before we went on here. I still don't understand what makes someone in their head decide they need to send a message to a player and rip into them like they did. As I said, I had a multi that was lost because of that game, and even I didn't go, oh, I need to go and contact the player and tell him how rubbish he is. Might be due to the fact that it was conversions, which is something that I can't do. So I'm not going to give him crap for missing something I would have missed. But yeah, and Jacko said Warriors have an underbelly of vile, nasty fans who love to throw hate, but I guess it's common everywhere. And Simon said people have too much weirdo time on their hands. Yeah, it's not just, I know the Warriors, when things are going wrong, you really see some people that get very emotionally invested. Is probably the polite way of saying it, but it does happen with all teams, and Paul will know following that other sport. Union has its fair share as well.
Yeah, look, I'm not talking about either sport or anything. I mean, just look, society itself. I mean, the way social media has let you be disassociated from seeing the impact of what you say means that a lot more people are saying much more nasty things to each other than they used to, because you could see the impact before. Now you can't see the impact. You're disassociated from that, and social media has done nothing. The social media companies, have done next to nothing to try and stop it. Right, in fact, because they see it as a way of it just gets them engagement. So hey, any engagement's good engagement from their point of view, which is disgusting. Look, even if he did lose the game, even if it was his own fault, you still don't be racist to somebody who has made a mistake. If they're showing pictures of him crying in the change rooms, it's because he cares, right? And he's upset about what's happened. Those are good things to show. It humanizes him and shows that he actually cares. It's not that he doesn't care. It's not that he wasn't trying. He just screwed up, and it's hurting him. So look, it's disgusting, that kind of behaviour. And one of the reasons why I guess I've sort of removed myself from Twitter in particular. I just don't go on there anymore, really. And yeah, I do a lot less social media than I used to. But it's now that behaviour, there's no excuse. We can joke about the kind of stuff of like, oh dear me, he messed up a multi. But even if you dismiss a multi and you do say, "Oh, it's your fault, mate," you don't use it by racism or anything like that. So it's just totally wrong.
Yeah, and I keep all my hateful comments in person because then they can't be used against me in the future. Yeah. Social media, you can save everything, guys. You got to remember that. But no, in all seriousness, we have this show where we talk about the games and we comment on a player that played bad. I think Rabbitohs last week or the week before when we commented on Cody Walker not being able to kick a goal if he was standing right in front of it.
Yeah.
It's nothing against him as a person. I think it's the personal attacks I think I take umbrage with. And like Jacko said, filming CHT in the sheds after the game, crying. And yeah, if you gamble and lose, don't blame others. Yeah, as I said before we went on the air, I lost the multi because of that Warriors loss. But I go, bloody Warriors cost me the multi. But I put the money down. It's my fault for picking them when Paul told me not to. Just be smarter. I think is the way.
Warriors fans.
Yeah, just chill out.
He didn't lose the game for us. A 14-0 head start lost the game for us.
Well, I think we were saying when the game was on, we'll talk about it later, but if he got that kick that he missed at the end and it had leveled the game and gone in the Golden Point, we weren't going to win in Golden Point either because we had no one that could win it in Golden Point.
Yeah.
So it would have just delayed the inevitable. It was that start. But we'll talk about that when we review the game and we'll move on. Just be nice with people. Next one is the Dolphins. They have confirmed that they're trying everything they can to extend Tavita Pangai Jr.'s time at the club, despite the rumours that he'll follow Wayne Bennett to Souths. He has been playing pretty well for them since he made his return from retirement, so I'm not surprised. They got a few senior members of that pack on the last doors, so they'd probably like to keep him. You reckon he'll stay with the Dolphins, or is he going to Souths? Souths have a lot of forwards already. They don't really need him.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think Bennett likes him. Bennett seems to get the good parts out of Pangai Jr. You know, a lot of coaches can't get that out of him. So, I can see it going both ways, but. I know he's come back. He's hit the ground running, playing well, looking like the bruising runner and offloader that we know he can be. Hopefully, he can keep that up and not go off the boil once pen's put to paper wherever it may be.
Yeah, I guess I can see the merits in both. I could see him, as Jacko said, that he likes the Brisbane area. So I could see that in the Dolphins' favour, but he also has that connection with Bennett. So I could see that being enough to lure him away. Time will tell. I'm sure we'll have news in the next few weeks on what he wants to do. So we'll move on. We haven't talked about them yet, so we may as well. The Tigers. Robbie Farah is going to be leaving his role as an assistant at the club at the end of the year. No word on who the Tigers are going to be looking to bring in to replace him.
Trent Barrett.
You never know. I've got no word on why. There's rumors out there that him and Api Coruscant didn't get along, and it was basically one has to stay, one has to go, and you're going to stick with Api. I've heard words about him and Benji not on the same page as well. There's all sorts of rumors, so we can just speculate all we want there, but he's apparently got quite a few businesses away from league, so he's going to be fine if he never gets another league gig again. But
yeah, he'll be all right.
I think for the Tigers, it'd be great for Benji to get someone with a bit of experience in, which is what we said last year when they threw the head coach role at him. If he had an experienced head helping him out, I think it'll do wonders for him as a coach. But yeah, I guess it's just who they can trick into coming to the Tigers. But well, yeah, you got any?
That's not quite your salary cap, right? So you can spend as much as you like on that.
Yeah. So all.
So you have to throw money at it.
Money in the world. Yeah, throw money at it, and hopefully someone comes in.
Oh yeah, and they'll have posters of Jerome Luai and Taruva as well, I'm sure, on their pitch to somebody. Yeah, I don't know. Who any possibilities out there for them?
No, not off the top of my head, because all you can really think about is the sack coaches.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys that got sacked this year have kind of either rumored to have another gig lined up or are close to it. I think the only one really is Jason Demetrio that hasn't really been linked anywhere. But I don't know if he's ready to come back and if he wants to go from how bad the Rabbitohs were going and then going and helping the Tigers. I don't know if that's really what he wants. But yeah, I'm hoping they find someone. But yeah, time will tell on that one too. That might be a story for the end of the year as opposed to now. Next bit of news, mate. It was a while ago we talked about Phil Gould getting fined by the NRL for calling the NRL stupid. They have apparently suspended that fine and he will not have to pay it. So he was very staunch and all the podcasts and stuff that he's on, saying that he had his lawyers involved and he would be fighting it. And it sounds like behind closed doors he won that battle, which he was always confident he was going to do. But what's your take on the NRL just taking the knee here and taking the loss and moving on?
No one's going to get one over the Gould father. He's no, he's a powerful figure. We spoke at the time, and I thought it was excessive anyway. I know, he's said something against the game that he has ties in, but the thing is, I agreed with everything he said. So
I think that was their problem, that with what he said, there wasn't anyone coming out and defending the NRL. So, it's made perfect sense that they would take a back seat because everyone agreed with what he said, because he wasn't having a go. He was saying, like, I still love this. This is my life. But with what we've done to the game, it's just stupid right now. And, what have we done? Almost every week we've talked about some silly thing that the NRL has done.
Pretty much every week.
Yeah, but not enough people watch us for the NRL to want to find us. So that's very good for us. But good to see Phil. He backed himself and he's won here. So last one before we get into signings, mate. It's hasn't been 100% confirmed, but I think like 2 hours ago they basically said the deal was done. But the Tigers, going back to them, mate, they have let John Bateman leave to join Warrington for the rest of this season on a loan deal. He's apparently meant to be coming back to Tigers next season. But do you actually see him coming back? It seems very weird I know their season's done, but they're fighting desperately to not get that spoon. And they let John Bateman just walk out the door and go to Warrington. It's a bit like what happened, they did it with, what's his face? I can't even remember his name now, the winger. Norfoluma. They let him go to the Storm just to get him out of there for a bit. And then when he came back, it was basically that was already his sign that he was no longer going to be part of the team.
He didn't want to go back, did he?
No. But and Jacko said, would the Tigers want Bateman back? He's been at best average. There are some of the conspiracy theorists out there saying this is basically they're letting him go on a loan, but they're not getting him back. They're just letting him go and will say, mate, just stay there.
I agree with that. He hasn't been great this year. But on the other side, if you're Bateman, why would you want to go back there? Pick up last place every year.
Well, they're not going to get last place next year, mate. They've got a great team. They're going to at least be. They may still be. It's got to come right at some point. 1 year they'll get good, and the Dragons will get bad, and then I'll be fine. But I don't know if he'll come back. I think this is the start. We had all those rumors that their CEO was over in England trying to get teams over there to buy some of their players. I think this one could be one of them. But time will tell. Everyone seems to be saying he will be there in 2025, but And Simon said Bateman should be loaned to the Castleford Tigers. Yeah, to do that, Tigers go to Tigers, and then what Wigan players could we steal for the Warriors? There's probably a couple that we could send up there.
Yeah.
And Jacko said he heard Bateman still had 3 years on his Tiger contract. I'm pretty sure 2025 was meant to be the last year of his deal. I might be wrong there, but when I checked today, that's what they said. 2025 was meant to be the final year. But who knows? Paul can look at that, I'm sure. Or I'm gonna try.
Fact check yourself.
Yeah. John Bateman.
Maybe it was a 3-year contract that ends next year. But anyway, you keep going, and I will.
Yeah, you do the research while instead of me just staring and doing silence.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the research. I'm trying to talk you into not doing the research and just keep talking.
I'm going to do it anyway. I feel like I have to. So we'll move into signings. Jared Wallace from the Dolphins. He is signed with the Catalan Dragons effective immediately for the rest of this year.
Signing.
Yeah. Just the 1 year. We don't know what's going to happen with them in 2025, but yeah, good signing for the Dragons. They seem to be getting everybody at the moment up there. And Tupanua, we talked about it ages ago. There were rumors about him potentially going to the Bulldogs. It has been confirmed now. The Roosters have granted him an early release, and he'll join the Bulldogs on a 4-year deal from 2025. That's a good deal for the Doggies. They need some big boys in the middle. Tupanua, he hasn't really had the greatest year, so it's probably, as I say, a change is as good as a holiday. Probably good for him to move on and start fresh somewhere new. And then Trifula has also signed a 2-year extension with the Dolphins to stay with them until at least 2026. It actually included an upgrade for him to go into the top 30 as well, because he technically wasn't in the top 30 this year. So
yeah, he's good too. That's well earned, that one.
Yeah. And Simon said Catalan Dragons are getting everyone and also letting a lot of people go. Yeah. There's just too many concerts for those Dragons to go watch. So,
on the Bateman thing, he signed a 4-year deal at the beginning of 2023. So yes, he has still got. So he's got this year plus 2 more.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I don't see him coming back. I don't know. We'll see. But we'll move into injuries. There were heaps, but I just narrowed it down to like the big injuries and Warriors related injuries. So Mitch Moses is probably the biggest one for the Eels. He ruptured his bicep in that Origin game. He requires surgery and his season is done.
Doesn't matter. Mission accomplished.
Yeah. But that's a massive loss for the Eels. They haven't played that great without him. To be fair, the past few weeks, they haven't really played that great with him. So,
yeah.
But yeah, big loss for them. Lehi Hopewadi from the Seagulls fractured his eye socket. Going for scans, there was no update that I saw today, but they reckon it's going to be around 4 to 5 weeks for him. Yep. He did the good. We didn't see it, but they mentioned it.
Blow it.
The blow where it puffs your whole face out.
Yuck. Yep.
And then Paul Alamotti from the Panthers, he fractured his forearm. No return date as of yet. This late in the season, that could be him done. Was big loss for him. He's been playing really well for the Panthers, unfortunately. And then Warriors related, Adam Pompey, he tore his medial ligament. The return date is roughly around 25 or 26. So at that point, do you bring him back? When I suppose it might depend on
you mean
ladder positioning.
You mean round 25, 26? I thought you meant 2025.
No, round 25, around 26. So basically the last 2 rounds for the Warriors.
Probably, I'd say if at that stage we're already knocked out, then
no,
not a lot of point. Might as well keep giving the young fellas a run.
Yeah. And then Tane Tuapiki, he is out this week because of his head knock stand down. It was an interesting head knock because when they showed the replay,
Jacko's right too. Last round is a bye, so
yeah, exactly. Tane Tuapiki, his head knock, it looked like it was more a shoulder complaint than a head, but It was deemed bad enough by the doctors for him to not even have to take the test and just miss the rest of the game. So he gets the week off, and we'll be back the week after. Anything else you want to add to the injuries, mate?
Not really. Just it just seems like a real kick in the guts. Our luck with our back five in particular the past few weeks. We're essentially running out with New South Wales Cup back line this weekend.
Yeah,
Such
exactly.
as our luck, how bad our luck's been.
Yeah, but as you said, it gives the young guys an opportunity, which is good. I actually like some of the players that they've brought in for the game this week, which we'll talk about at the end of the show. But it's a good opportunity for them. So we'll move on to Naughty Boys. We've got a couple. So we had two from Origin. Olukuatu and Cam Murray, as we already mentioned, they got in trouble for the push and pull. Cam Murray getting into the skirmish from the bench, and Olukuatu getting into the skirmish as a non-playing player, just sitting there in a suit and tie. They both got done for grade 3 contrary conduct charges and got 2-game bans. 1 game's already been used due to the round last week, so they got 1 game left each. I saw Manly were complaining about it, saying that those bans shouldn't affect the NRL. It should only affect representative games. It doesn't affect us as most people. So I'm fine with it being counted in the NRL games myself. But yeah, it is what it is. You happy with the 2-game ban for both?
I think it's fair enough. And both teams won on the weekend, so their absence wasn't affecting the teams too much. Yeah.
And then in NRL, Aiden Caesar from the Tigers, he has got a 2-match ban for a grade 2 dangerous contact.
Loves
and Joe Chan, he does. It's his favorite tackle. And then Joe Chan from the Storm got 2-match ban for a grade 1 careless high tackle. So yeah, not too much there. But yeah, I've got nothing to complain about. I was happy to see that Capewell didn't get a ban for his tackle in Origin, and that Murata didn't get a ban for his head high. They were the two I was worried about over the weekend. But we may as well jump into it, mate. Starting with that Origin game, New South Wales defeating Queensland 14-4.
Yes, indeed. 2 tries to 0. Bradman Best and Mitch Moses. Just the 2 penalty goals for Val Holmes for Queensland, 1 penalty goal for Zach Lomax.
Yeah, such a tight contest for the first hour, with neither side willing to let the other gain the upper hand. But New South Wales took their moment well to score their first try and broke Queensland at that moment, really, and scored their second try with relative ease after that. Very impressive display from New South Wales. Madge has put together a good side that will only get better with the inclusion of Cleary next season.
You think they bring Cleary straight back in? You have to, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't mention it in the news thing, but they had Madge on, I think, 360, and Buzz was on there, and Buzz already asked him about, so next year, are we picking Cleary or are we sticking with Moses? It's like, I think Madge told him to just enjoy the victory and worry about next year. Very silly question to ask. You would imagine Cleary comes straight back in because he's the best halfback in the game, right? Or unless...
Probably best player in the game.
Yeah, I think he wasn't even injured, Matt. I think they've figured out he can have a couple of months off in the middle of the season to get ready for that finals.
Comes back fresh.
Comes back fresh. They can win without him, so they're like, just have a rest, mate. So
yeah.
But yeah, your thoughts on New South Wales before I take us away again?
I thought they did a fantastic job to pick up the win in a decider in Queensland. It hasn't happened very often at all. I think was it the 3rd time ever?
Yeah, I think they said Mitch Moses was the 3rd New South Wales halfback to win a decider in Queensland. Behind Joey, I know was one. I don't know the other.
I can't remember who the other one was, but it was Joey was one. So that being said, fantastic effort. very seldom does that happen. I thought the game had a lot of fast line speed and brutal defence, but New South Wales just kept banging the door down, and Queensland cracked late in the contest. New South Wales had a lot of ball and a lot of territory, so I thought Queensland did quite well to hold on for as long as they did. But yeah, New South Wales just kept at it and finally broke them in the last sort of 13 or 14 minutes. Ricky Stewart, that's what the boys are right.
Yeah, and Bjorn and Jacko said Ricky Stewart, yeah. And Jacko also mentioned Mitch Barnett. I know we just finished talking about New South Wales, but yeah, Mitch Barnett. I was telling you in Ruin Hammer that I was worried every time he ran into contact because it felt like Queensland were putting extra work on his neck, which we know he's got neck issues. And I was like, we really need him to survive this Origin game because we need him back up. But he had a hell of a game. I think if anyone was umming and ahhing on if he should be a guy in this New South Wales squad moving forward, I think he more than proved his worth there.
He's made for that arena the way he plays. Yeah. And then he got on the Bears. Then he got on the Bears afterwards, and 2 nights later he backed up. He's a real man's man. Yeah. Yeah.
And the Warriors needed him to back up. But the fact that him and Kurt Capewell on the losing side were both willing to back up 48 hours after was a hell of an effort. But yeah, your take on Queensland?
They'll be really disappointed to lose the series, but I thought Queensland did really well to hang in. I know they didn't score any tries, but New South Wales, like I just said before, had a lot of ball and territory, and it took till very late in the game before their defence finally cracked. So they'll be disappointed to drop the series at home, and probably that they couldn't convert any attack into tries, but they can be proud of how gritty they were to hang in, and their defence was really good. So they can hold their head high. I think they weren't terrible by any means.
It sounds like you're just quoting what Billy Slater said, where it didn't feel like they lost, even though they lost, or some random thing.
I would never directly quote that, Grub.
I thought they defended well until their spirits were broken in that final 20 minutes. It looked like they were there was a lot of pressure on them through that whole contest because New South Wales just kept going. But yeah, it was just like that little bit of broken play that ripped them apart, and then they were done. I think I said it, but when we talked about the team being named, they struggled to get their game breakers into scoring situations. They were shut down quite well, and they needed an X factor forward like a David Fifita, like we said when they named the teams, saying they needed someone like him in there to help provide a bit of X factor. I think it's a harsh but valuable lesson for Billy Slater as he prepares for the 2025 series. I think it always goes over everyone's heads how inexperienced of a coach he actually is. He's never done the hard yards, as they say, as a coach yet. He kind of just got thrown the Origin team with some great players, which kind of helped out. And I think you kind of saw that in the battle. Madge has such an experienced coach. He's won a premiership. Look what he did with the Kiwis. And that he knows what he's doing as a coach, and he kind of schooled Billy on the field with selections, the mind games and stuff. Yep. It's all stuff that Billy should learn from. And yeah, Jacko said Queensland were like the Storm of old, holding down tackles for ages. Yeah, there was a lot of the old Storm tricks.
You're right about Billy, though. I haven't seen him that rattled since the 2008 World Cup final.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll be a valuable lesson. I know they love being the underdogs, but I think they'll definitely go into the series in 2025 as underdogs. But yeah, you just got to pick a good squad, which is what Madge did. He, as we said beforehand, he said he was never going to stick. He was going to pick the best players he could, rather than who had done it in the past, and that worked. I think Billy needs to do the same. Instead of your Kurt Capewell, love him, he's a warrior, so I'll give him that. But that should have been Fifita. And yeah, Paul said Angus Crichton won the Wally Lewis medal. Thought it was well deserved. Your player to stand out?
No, I went Dylan Edwards. A very Dylan Edwards performance, really. Just everywhere. Ton of run meters, defensively good. Pretty much the polar opposite of his opposite
His
fullback.
counterpart. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to go with Mitch Barnett, but I thought I'd be biased. So I went with Liam Martin. Liam Martin was just in the thick of it all night. And he was doing exactly what Madge wants him to do. He was getting niggly. He was putting pressure on Queensland and getting them to react, which is what he's paid to do. So it was a very solid performance from him. But yeah, special shout out to Barnett for a great debut. We'll move on to the NRL now, mate. First game on Friday. The Raiders defeating the Warriors 20-18.
Yeah, let's rip off the Band-Aid early. 4-3. Warriors actually outscored the Raiders in tries. Tuivasa Sheck, Kurt Capewell, Mitch Barnett, the two Origin guys backing up. Infinor Blake, that were the 4 try scorers for the Warriors. For the Raiders, Hudson Young with 2 early tries, and Xavier Savage with the go-ahead try in the 70th minute.
Yep. Raiders hit the ground running here with a rampaging Hudson Young. The return of Jamal Fogarty gave the Raiders a kicking threat that really troubled the Warriors. They did take the foot off the gas, I thought, and they did make a lot of errors, which left the door open for the Raiders' fade to come into play. But luckily for them, the Warriors left their goal-kicking boots at home, and they held on for a much-needed win. Not the best win by any stretch for the Raiders, but it keeps their finals hopes alive, which I think is all them and their fans would have cared about. I think they said, I think it was Bloke in the Bar, when they reviewed it, said it's their first win at home since Jamal Fogarty got injured. Yeah. So his first game back, they win at home again. So yeah, very impressed with the change he made to their team. Unfortunately, it was us. Paul's going to give us some incitement. He looks either confused or angry. I'm not sure.
No. The Raiders' last win at home was in round 11 against the Cowboys.
Okay. So they were wrong because I think he got injured in round 6. Typical bloke in the bar, never doing their research.
CBY, is Country Bulldogs, is that? No, CBY? No, CBY, Cowboys. Yeah. I know. Right. No, who did the Cowboys play this weekend? Because they played CB. Yeah, Bulldogs. So sorry, it's against Bulldogs. In round 11 against Bulldogs.
Yeah.
That's who they was their last win at home.
Yeah. But your thought on the Raiders, Matt?
They obviously had the big start, which proved to be the difference in the game. Hudson Young picking up a double in the first 10 minutes. Jamal Fogarty slotting right back in, terrorising our back three with his kicking game. That's a hell of a kicking game he's got. He's got those spiral bombs just as good as anyone in the game. They did fall off in the second half. But unfortunately for us Warriors fans, they'd done enough in that first half to edge us out.
Yeah, and like you said, like Jacko's just said as well, Fogarty kicked them to death, which is true. Yeah, your thoughts on the Warriors?
We really paid the price for a poor start. We looked much better in the second half and looked the better team. But again, I feel like without Sean Johnson, our in-game kicking, our kicking game is not quite up to standard. We tend to give away a lot of seven tackle sets and just sort of a lot of nothing kicks. And I know a lot of people sort of harp on about Sean Johnson putting up the same bomb over and over and over, but can't really fault his long kicking game. You know, he's got a good kicking game, and without him, I feel like Tamaida Martin and Chanel Harris-Davida have done a good job in other areas, like Tamaida Martin's ball playing, a lot of try assists, but our kicking game goes downhill. And losing another couple of back 5 players during the game, and our first 2 goal kickers, our first 2 choice goal kickers, just happened to be. So it kind of played out the way it played out, you know. And was just cruel the way it ended. That poor Chanel probably never thought in his mind he'd be kicking that game, and was thrust
Yeah.
into the role. And he's normally a very good goal kicker, so I think maybe just the pressure of the moment got to him. I think you said to us over Messenger that, and you were completely right. By that last one, although it was an easy kick, he looked a defeated man.
Mentally, he didn't look like before. Like as soon as he put the ball down to do the kick, it looked like you were like, oh no, he's not going to get this. His head's just not in it. I don't know who makes that call, if that's something that the players decide or if that's something Webby can pull. But I would have pulled the duty off him in that case. But yeah, it is what it is. It was the slow start that killed the Warriors here. They were prone to it last season, but they were better attacking wise, where they could survive a slow start that they concede 2 or 3 tries, and then they're going to make them back. They technically did in this game, but it just wasn't. To be the early exits of Pompey and Tuapiki forced another back 3 shuffle. I feel sorry for Leka Halasima. He's played more minutes at centre than he has in his actual position in his 2 games. I did think the forwards won the battle up front, but the Harps game plan was one note. I think Jacko mentioned it, that Tamati Martin's been MIA last 2 games. It was really weird. I was commenting through the game. It was very CHT heavy. Chanel was doing the majority of the kicking. It was like the complete opposite of what that partnership has been doing. So I don't know if that was a decision from higher up, from Webby and that, going, we're going to go to the left more and focus on Chanel rather than using Tamati. There was a few moments in there where Tamati could have put in a grubber, forced a repeat set like we've seen him do before, but they didn't. They either tried a loosey-goosey pass or they just put up another one-dimensional kick that went nowhere. That's, as a forward or a former forward, that would be frustrating for me, knowing that you guys are doing the hard work and then your backs are stuffing it up. It's horrible. But they really asked no questions of the Raiders' defense. And it's another game they've let slip and could be the final nail in their coffin for 2024. Very disappointing. I think we picked the same guy as our player to stand out, though. It's kind of hard not to.
Jamal
Hudson
Fogarty.
Young fantasy points on 92, but we went with Jamal Fogarty, didn't we?
Yeah, he just makes such a difference to the team.
Without Fogarty, they don't win that game. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, it's almost the exact same thing with the Broncos. Adam Reynolds comes back this week and they look a different team. Same situation.
Yeah, so well done, Raiders and Simon. Congrats on your team winning. We'll move on to the Rabbits defeating the Tigers 42-28.
7 tries to 5 in this one for the Rabbitohs. Davey Mwale, Cody Walker had 2. Alex Johnston had 2. Mamazelas and Jai Gray. And for the Tigers, Lockie Galvin had... Do you have 2? No, he just had the 1. Lockie Galvin,
Just had the 1.
Talon De Silva, Jareen Buller, Charlie Staines, and Sione Fainu.
Yeah, Rabbits look pretty good here with some nice attacking plays, but they made too many errors. That could have been problematic against the top tier side. Would be disappointed in allowing the Tigers to score 5 tries. So they do need to tighten that defense up as they continue to climb up the ladder. As Paul said at halftime, it was 22-18. So Tigers gave them a bit of a scare. But yeah, I thought the Rabbits did well. Down on a bit of confidence. No Cam Murray, no Latrell. This could have been a game a few weeks ago where they let this slide and it's a big upset. But they stuck to their guns and got the job done. But your thought on Souths?
Yeah, I thought attacking wise they look quite good here. Their left side looked to be humming again this game. When they've been going well the past few years, that left side's been a favoured one of theirs. You're right, Brad. Defensively, there's still some work to do for them there. if they want to compete against better teams. But good for them to pick up a win all the same.
Yeah, and you take on the Tigers.
I feel for the Tigers. They did really well to fight their way back into the game and scored some really nice tries. Again, seems like a theme for their season: discipline. Another sin bin, another hip drop. Aiden Caesar.
They're going for the record.
They must be going for a record, surely. Interested to know how many weeks in a row have they had a sin bin?
I don't have the research, but it's been a couple.
It feels like at least I can't think of a game in recent memory where they haven't had one. Anyway, I digress. Discipline and errors, and the young winger Luke Laulili with a couple of bad drops in their own half, leading directly to tries late in the game. It's that kind of thing that it keeps the Tigers where they are, rooted to the bottom of the table.
Yeah, Tigers show plenty of spirit here once again, but yeah, as you said, their lack of discipline put them down again. They conceded 7 penalties, another sin bin. Yeah, and Bjorn said he's pretty sure they've had 14 sin bins this year, which is a record. Yeah, it's crazy. They can put together some good attacking sets, which we saw with them being able to score though 5 tries, but they struggled to defend. And but it could be a banana peel game for the Warriors this week if they have that scoring mood and sort out their bloody defense, their discipline. Sorry, but yeah, poor old Tigers. I feel that's what we say every week. Your player to stand out?
Went Damien Cook. I thought he was really good. A couple of try assists, standing in the goal, kicking 6 from 7 off the tee, and just looked dangerous in general.
I'm not picking a guy because he did good goal kicking straight after the Chanel thing, mate. I went with Keon Kolomatangi. I've been giving him heaps of praise about after his change to the middle, and thought he was a monster again. I think he cracked over 200 meters again, and just being a real guy, a real lightning rod in that pack to help get the Rabbitohs back in the right train of mind. Bjorn said that I must be on the coaching staff for the Tigers with their discipline issues. Benji's needing a new assistant, so if he wants one, I'm happy. And yeah, Paul's done some research in the background. Latrell Mitchell's got the most sin bins this year with 3. Not surprised.
No.
But yeah, and Damien Cook did lead with fantasy on 79. So we'll move on to the next game. Broncos ending their losing streak, mate, beating the Knights 30-14.
Yeah, so not only did the Warriors lose, the Broncos won. So crap weekend for me. 5 tries to 3 for the Broncos. Dean Mariner with 2, Reece Walsh, Brendan Piakura, and Ezra Mam. For the Knights, Jack Hetherington, Matt Crocker, and Greg Marju.
Yeah, what a difference a halfback makes. The Broncos finally had some direction in attack with the return of Reynolds, allowing Reece Walsh to return to his attacking best. The team made a lot of errors, but that will improve as the weeks go by. If Reynolds stays fit, then they can go on a run, which is, I think, what you basically said when I asked you last week if it was the Warriors or Broncos that could make a run for the 8. You said with Reynolds back, it could be Broncos. Good to see Walters finally learnt that he needs his Origin boys to back up if he wanted to win a game, letting them all back in. But yeah, I thought it was a good performance and a good return from Reynolds. But your take on Brisbane?
The streak finally broken for the Broncos. Adam Reynolds just changes this team, similar to Fogarty with Canberra. I thought he was good on return. He just has that ability to unlock everyone else around him and make everyone else around him better, which is a sign of a great halfback. The road ahead for them is tough, but if everybody stays fit, they are capable.
Yeah, and your take on the Knights?
Yeah, very poor first half from the Knights. Going into halftime, 18 points down. Was a better showing in the second half, but they were well and truly outplayed in this one. And be a slight dent in their finals chances. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, Knights just took too long to get into this match. Their attack was clunky for large portions of the contest, and their defense wasn't up to the task to hold the Broncos back. They have a bye this week to refocus and get their campaign back on track. Jacko said Knights look in real trouble going forward into 2025. Something's wrong there. Yeah, I forgot to mention it in the news. There's a lot of talk about the fact that the salary cap is a mess and a lot of players may have to leave. And apparently there's rumors that there's a lot of unhappiness within the camp with the players because of this situation, which isn't great for their future if the players aren't happy and they're losing all their teammates because the guys don't know how to manage the books properly. Probably give the Roosters a call and figure out how they do it. But
get some tips.
Yeah, and Simon's saying the Knights will have to do a fire sale of players. Well, that's why we talked about. They've told Daniel Safiti he's free to go and how the Dragons are trying to pick him up. That's one of the reasons, because they don't want to lose Leo Thompson. And they can't offer Leo Thompson more money because of the cap. So it's all, people will go at some point. It'll just be interesting to see who picks those players up. And Simon said, by the way, Roosters don't know what a salary cap is. Exactly. That's why you need to talk to them, figure out how they do it.
I got to say, it's a shame, real shame for the head coach here, because it's the kind of the team manager normally kind of handles all the kind of looking after the cap and stuff rather than the coach, isn't it? I would have thought. The coach kind of deals, so hence the coach is being left to hang out to dry here because of other people's mistakes.
Yeah, it's probably pretty obvious, but your player to stand out.
Yeah, we kind of already went on about him, Adam Reynolds.
So Dean Mariner topped fantasy, but I went with Adam Reynolds as well. Hard to go against the guy. He is the reason they won pretty much. So well done. Next game, Storm defeating the Roosters 24-8.
Yep, 4 tries to 2. Jack Howarth, Grant Anderson with 2, and Sua Falongo for the Storm. For the Roosters, Daniel Tupou and Dominic Young.
Yeah, typical Storm effort here, I thought. They just broke the Roosters down methodically and never gave them a chance to get into the match. Always a hard team to play at this time of year, and they may have the minor premiership locked up already. Your take on the Storm?
Yeah, great win from the Storm against the team that, until very recently, we've been calling a real premiership chance. Defensively, the Storm were very good and some nice touches from the back, sending in tries. In particular, I thought Grant Anderson was looking deadly in this one.
Yeah, no, Jacko's asked if Mariner's a Kiwi. Yeah.
His dad's
is
Lucky Mariner, the guy that sung the Matter of Faith
sung
song.
the Warriors song. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was saying that at the Broncos game a few weeks ago. They had his dad's song on at halftime, and then it helped him come out and score a nice try. He got the boost. Your take on the Roosters?
We've been saying that they look like a premiership threat, but their record against the Storm and Panthers is an obstacle they'll need to overcome come finals time. They tried their hearts out, but poor handling and discipline with 2 sin bins, you'll never beat the Storm like that. Yeah,
I just want to interrupt. Paul said Mariner was born in Auckland. You got to remember, where you're born doesn't matter, Paul. There's lots of Auckland-born players playing for Queensland the other week.
Apparently he was selected for the Australia schoolboys, and then because of COVID, it didn't happen, so he didn't actually get to play, but he was selected.
Yeah.
I wonder what age he moved to Australia, because that's what stopped Ronaldo Mulitalo being able to play for Queensland, right? I think he moved after his 13th birthday.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know. But going back to the Roosters, sorry, getting distracted. The Roosters were uncharacteristically error prone here. They made 17 errors in this match. and they just didn't ask any questions of the Storm defense. The 2 Simbins they got didn't help matters either. The Roosters have been on a bit of a roll, but yeah, they hit a speed wobble here. They will bounce back. I think they are still a premiership threat for me, but yeah, if you're telling me it's Roosters Storm in the final or Roosters Panthers in the final, I know who I'd put my money on, and it wouldn't be the Roosters right now. So I would put them like a top 3 team right now, but they're 3rd in that list. Your player to stand out?
I went Grant Anderson. Couple of really nice tries. Just looked fast and dangerous all game.
I went with Sean Bloor. I thought Sean Bloor had one of his better games since joining the Storm. Probably helped. He's in my fantasy team, and he did well for me. Helped me get the win. But yeah, I thought he was great. And yeah, Sean Bloor led with 72. So yeah, very happy to have him in my team. Move on to the next game. First game on Sunday, I believe. Panthers holding on, defeating the Dolphins 28-26.
Cracking game. Not even holding on, coming from behind. 4 tries apiece for the Panthers. Sunia Taruva, Paul Alamotti, Moses Leota, and Dane Laurie. For the Finns, Hamiso Tabuai Fido had 2, Izzy Katoa and Jack Bostock.
Yeah, Panthers lacked a bit of star power here with the Origin players sitting out, but they made the most of the chances they got. The return of Cleary went great with him nailing that match-leaving penalty before hitting a clutch 2-point field goal. I think they said it was like 43 meters on the angle, nailing that field goal to get the win. If Cleary stays fit, then a 4th premiership in a row is definitely very likely on the cards. Your take on the Panthers?
I thought it was a great comeback from them. I thought when Bostock went over for the Dolphins, that would be game over. But the Panthers, without their Origin players, managed to claw their way back in. Like you say, Brad, kick a penalty. And then is there anyone else you want in your team with the game on the line in that situation? Other than Cleary, he'd be right up there. Him and maybe DCE. But yeah, outstanding win. Clutch kick from Cleary at the end. Thought it was a really good game.
Yeah, your take on the Dolphins?
I think they'll view this one as a missed opportunity. I thought they looked really good. They scored some really nice tries, but they probably should have iced this game. Just some discipline things and little moments let the Panthers get back in. And I think if he had his time again, I think Izzy Katoa would take a pop at field goal when the chance was on offer. I thought they played well, but it's a missed chance for them.
Yeah, the Dolphins look good here. Their attack was crisp, but they had a few issues defending the Panthers. Lacked that game IQ in the final stages, as you said. They were set up perfectly for a field goal to take the lead, but they elected to kick in the corner. A few more smarts, and they could have got a statement win here. I'm still impressed with how they've gone this year. But yeah, I feel like we say it almost every week. There's a game that people will regret losing later when the dust settles on the season. Bjorn said, Panthers looking great for 4 in a row. Amazing thing to do within the salary cap. Yeah, and it's not like the roll your eyes like the Roosters and the Storm when they kept their team the same every year when they were doing well.
They built the team.
They've built the team. And they keep losing players, and every year we say it like, oh, they've lost this guy. Now things will go off. They have looked a bit more human this year. When Cleary went down, they kind of felt the pinch with the depth, but they still, more often than not, came out with the 2 points, which is what counts.
Surely next year, losing Fisher Harris, Taruva, and Luai, that becomes even more. They become even more human next year. Surely.
You would think so. Yeah, you would think so. But yeah, it's great if they make. They should make the grand final. You would imagine, but if they make the grand final, that's the last 6 grand finals they've been in. Because last 5 they've won. Yeah, because they lost the first one and then they went bang, bang, bang. So this would be the 4th. Yeah.
5 this year if they make it. Yeah.
5 this year if they make it. Yeah. I'm not good with numbers, guys. I apologize. Your player to stand out. The Hammer top fantasy was 77, and then Nathan Cleary top for the Panthers was 76. I think I went with Cleary. I assume you did too.
Yeah, to go with my boy Cleary.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good players in this game. Like you said, Hammer was good, but it's got to take that clutch moment.
Yeah. It kind of goes over everything. And you got something to say, Paul?
I've got some information on Mariner if we wanted to circle quickly back to that.
Yeah, let's go.
So he moved over when he was in his teens, and he was playing for the Maris Saints in the under-14s when he got spotted. So hence,
so he's a Kiwi.
Yeah,
he's a Kiwi. Then they can't steal him off us.
At the end of next year. So we went into camp that year with the Broncos, and they signed in the following year when he was as a 15-year-old.
Yeah, so he's a Kiwi. They can't steal him. So move on to the next game, mate. Seagulls defeating the Titans 38-8.
Nice to see someone do this to the Titans after what they did to us. 7 tries to 2. Luke Brooks, Lehi Hopoari, Jason Saab, Tom Trebojevic had 2. Ben Trebojevic had 1. Tommy Talau, Jake Trebojevic leading the brothers down there. He should have completed the treble, but Cam Pereira and Bo Fermor for the Titans.
Yeah, Manly took time to get into this match, but once they broke the Titans' defense in the 30th minute, they just didn't look back, making scoring look easy. Tommy Turbo starting to hit his stride, and a first ever finals appearance for Luke Brooks maybe on the cards, mate. Which is Bjorn just said the same. Big great moment for him in his long career to finally make the finals. But yeah, your take on Manly.
It will be, and I've joked all year. I've joked pretty much since he signed with Manly. I hope that they finish 9th, but really it'd be great for him. I thought it was a great win from Manly. They conceded the first 2, but once they got their game going, they looked very sharp with the ball. And seeing Tommy Turbo return to that sort of form is a scary proposition if he can keep that standard. We've seen in 2020. 21 he had his big year, what he can do when he's in full form. He can drag that team to some pretty special places. Yeah,
and your take on the Titans?
Yeah, good start for the Titans, but after their first 2 tries, it was pretty much downhill from there. Their defense couldn't stop what Manly was throwing their way, and with ball in hand, they looked pretty flat too, compared to what we've seen from them in recent weeks. But yeah, like I say, I kind of enjoyed it. I'm still got a bone to pick with them.
Got to be professional, mate. Titans started well with those back-to-back tries, but then they just fell apart, struggling to get through Manly's defence. They also couldn't defend, which has been a constant issue that I thought they had started to get rid of under Des, but clearly not. Desi has got a solid foundation here with this side, I think, but there is still going to be plenty of work for them to do in 2025. Your player to stand out. I think we went with the same one again.
Tommy Turbo.
Yeah, I went with Turbo as well. Thought he was fantastic. Good to see him playing nice and healthy. And Paul said, there we go. Paul's back. He disappeared.
On an angle.
Oh, and then, so Tommy had 91 points for fantasy. Solid game from him. Getting into the last game, Cowboys defeating the Bulldogs 20-18.
Yeah, this one was 3 tries apiece for the Cowboys. Helam Lukey had 2, and Jackson Purdue for the Dogs. Josh Curran, Bronson Sherry, Jacob Kiraz.
Yeah, very prone, error-prone effort from the Cowboys here. They made 14 in total, but to their credit, they didn't drop their heads and they just kept plugging away before finally getting their reward in the final 10 minutes. Need to improve the basics if they wish to remain in finals contention. However, your take on the Cowboys?
You're all about those basics, eh, Brad?
The fundamentals, mate. You get the schoolboy stuff right, and everything else falls into place.
Spoken like a true prop.
Yeah.
Big win for the Cowboys against the Dogs, who have been traveling well. Like you said, Brad, handling wasn't the greatest from the Cowboys, but their effort was there, and they did well.
What was that? Bulldogs travelling well. They're 1-8 on the road. They don't travel well.
Yeah, but they've been playing a lot at home. Come on.
Yeah, they're in the 8. They're better than what we're doing. But they did well to finish over the top of the Dogs in an arm wrestle of a game. So big one for their season.
Yeah, and your thoughts on the really well traveling Dogs?
Unlucky here from the Dogs. I thought they were well in the fight. Probably didn't get the rub of the green from officials and had a try ruled out, which was a close call. I just wish this was the fate that they met a few weeks ago when they were playing us. Yeah. I'm being a hater tonight. Sorry.
And before I talk about the Dogs, Jacko said Curran was outstanding. He's playing top 40. Yeah, I thought Curran was great. But yeah, the Bulldogs look to have this in the bag going into the final 20. There was some good attacking plays from them, but they just let the Cowboys off the hook with some shocking errors of their own and some lackluster defense in that final 20. Are one of the few teams that are at risk of dropping out of the 8 if they don't finish the season strong. So they've really got to work on those basics. Paul said Hylam Lukey led the fantasy points with 71. He is who I picked, mate. He got that nice double, and I thought he was playing really well. So I went with him. Who'd you go with?
I went Dearden, actually. I thought Dearden was really on song in this one as well.
That's a good point. So yeah, that was the round. Very disappointing on Warriors. Spoilers for the tips. I don't know if Paul brings it up next, but I did pretty well. Getting 6 out of 7, which a lot of people did. The only people that got the perfect round were Steinman, who's sitting at the top, and ACT Hellcat. Coincidentally, the 2 Raiders fans got the perfect round. A lot of Warriors fans, I guess, went against it. But Simon's got a decent lead now. Rocking Horse Road 2nd. ACT Hellcat went up to 3rd. I went down to 4th. Only 1 point ahead of you, Richie, who's in 5th. And Bjorn, since you're here tonight, mate, you had a shocker. And you're 8th.
But yeah, there's 2 guys with perfect rounds. The 2 guys have already used their jokers. If they held on off for this week.
Yeah, shoulda, woulda, coulda. So yeah, tight race. I'm hoping I pull a rabbit out of the hat this week with my tips and get back into contention. And then Simon said he was shocked that he got every game right because this competition is very hard to predict. Yeah, well done. I haven't got a perfect round yet. So yeah, but I've had one. I only got 1 game wrong the past 2 weeks, so I feel like a perfect round's just around the corner.
I feel like Brad's hinting at a possible Joker round, I think.
No, I'm not confident enough to use it yet.
But you're in form.
I'm not in form. I want to use it when I get a perfect round.
So he's deliberately going to save it for the last round when the Warriors aren't playing.
Exactly. See, now you're on. Use it the last round when I need to make the big move and shake. Well, yeah, so that's the tipping comp. If you've got the ladder there, Paul. Who did top 8 last week? Can you remember?
I did, I think.
All right, so I'll take it. So top 2 has stayed the same. Melbourne still in 1st place. Panthers 2nd. Sharks have moved back up to 3rd. Roosters have gone down to 4th. Manly have gone up to 5th. And the Bulldogs have moved down to 6th. Dolphins moved down to 7th. And the Cowboys have stayed where they are in 8th place. On 20, or the bottom 3, 6, 7, 8, all on 24 points.
Yeah. And the rest of them shape up like this. The Dragons are in 9th, Raiders 10th, Broncos 11th, Rabbitohs 12th, Newcastle 13th, Warriors 14th, Gold Coast 15th, Parramatta 16th, Tigers in their favourite spot, last place.
Yep. Still super tight. A lot of moving and shaking could happen in the next few weeks.
Where's your line? Where are you drawing your line now?
Without my heart, I would say
Under
Knights.
Newcastle?
Yeah, under Newcastle, the 20-point mark.
Yeah.
But I still, you never know with the Warriors, mate. That's only 1 point different. But yeah, I would say mathematically, you'd think 20 is probably the biggest stretch. Bjorn's saying the same. Sorry to say, boys, but the season's done, sadly. Hopefully, they finish the season strong. Yeah, I'm not ruling them out until they're completely mathematically out of the question. But taking the Warriors bias out of it, I'd have to say it'd be 13 and up, still have
You're a true
legitimate
diehard,
shot.
You wait till the equations are impossible.
Once it's impossible, I'll rule them out. But yeah, a smart man would have to say.
The other point about drawing the line there is that in those three teams, in the Broncos, the Rabbitohs, and the Knights, you've got three teams there that can really go on and run and can string wins back to back. The Knights did it last year, I think, didn't they, to get into the top 8?
The Knights did, yeah.
And we know the Broncos and Rabbits have got it in them. So, not only is it about points, but also those three teams can, as I say, put a good string together. The other thing to point out is that mathematically now the line is below the Warriors because the Titans, Eels, and Tigers now cannot make it into the top 8 mathematically. So
I said mathematically, Warriors still have a chance, maybe.
Mathematically, Warriors are still just in it, but as Bjorn says, our season is sadly done. I think he's pretty right there. To be fair,
and then he's having to go at my mathematics. Come on, it can happen. They need to do it. I think I said it in my review. Their season's on life support, and it will take a miracle run for them to make it. And rely. I think they have. I think I was listening to some of the other people that do shows and they basically said they could lose another game if things go their way. I don't want to get into that. That's where my head really starts to break. And yeah, Jagger said the annoying thing is the Warriors have the bye in the last round, which would have been a huge advantage if they'd made finals. Yeah. It was set up perfectly for the Warriors to have a decent stab at it this year with how the bye was. It's just Murphy's Law, I guess, that it hasn't worked out. But we'll see. We'll see when my optimism breaks, mate. We'll see what week it is coming up. But yeah, we got games against 17th and 16th place the next 2 weeks, so we'll see.
Not that that's meant much this year.
No, no. So we'll move on to the questions. So I see you've got one stored away, Paul.
We've got one stored away there, which was from Jacko. Any news on Steffo leaving Tigers, he says?
Nothing official. It was on 360 last night. I know old Tallis had a bit of a stab at Stefano, saying he's not a good enough player to be demanding all the stuff that he is to leave the Tigers, and that as a front rower, your job doesn't get any easier playing for better teams than it does the bad teams. You still got to do the same hard yards, and he's clearly not doing the hard yards good enough for the Tigers. But it sounds by everything that he's going to the Storm. There's just nothing official. I think I said a few weeks ago, I think we're going to see a swap where he ends up going to the Storm and Nelson leaves the Storm and goes to the Tigers. But yeah, that's where I'm at. But yeah, I think if there's any Storm seem interested in, if you're going to pick, are you going to go to the Melbourne Storm or are you going to stay with the West Tigers? I think I know where my decision would be.
Ask David Nofaluma.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, nothing confirmed, but I feel like we'll get news sooner rather than later that he's moving on.
Yeah, probably tonight.
Yeah. Probably, yeah. It'll be after the show. I'll go with mine first because your one I think takes a bit longer. So it was another missed opportunity for the Warriors this week, mate. What does Webster need to do to improve his side for 2025? So all of you guys have already said the season's over. So what's he got to do to make 2025 a return to success?
I'm assuming the season's over. Got to have a very good preseason. Got to probably not be so. Maybe look to innovate just a little with our game plan, because I thought our game plan was a bit same this year, which there were periods throughout the year where teams were just completely caught on to what we were going to do, knew what we were going to do before we did it. So slight adjustments to keep things fresh. But I think the other key factor is probably out of Webster's hands is we need a bit more luck injury-wise. We've had a lot of bad luck this year with key players missing big chunks and just not a lot of, we haven't had a lot of consistency in our lineup, which has hurt us. And it's hurt us in games too, where we've lost multiple players in game. We've had to play forwards out in the backs and all that kind of carry on. So, yeah, I think just, to what Webster can do, just slight evolution of the game plan, maybe look hard at his bench rotation. I know you probably would agree with that, Brad. Yeah, it's a tough one because it's just such a tough competition to win consistently. Everything it's so tight. We've got all the ingredients there. I think we had the ingredients. I still believe we had the ingredients there to do very well this year, but it's just been too many what ifs and missed chances.
Yeah, and before I give my 2 cents, Jacko said from the outside looking in, I think Webster needs to get a harder edge. He seems overly nice after poor performances. Yeah, I always find it hard because we see the media-facing part of the coach. We don't see behind closed doors, but from interviews with players, it sounds like that nice demeanor flows into the changing rooms as well. So like they've never had a spray from him and things like that. I'm not saying you need to spray to get results, but I feel there's got to be something in there where it feels I put the softness more towards making decisions on the personnel. Like he has, I think to this date in his career, he's still really only made one dropping as such. Every other like positional change he's had to make has been forced upon him by injuries or suspension. So it feels like he kind of picks his 17 in the preseason and goes, regardless of wins or losses, this is the team that's going to stay in. We'll ride the goods and bads. I think there's a lot of potential that we've seen in players. I feel like I'm a stalker now. Zion Mayu had a fantastic debut. Is back from injury now, but after getting that great debut, he was rewarded with being dropped and never seen again, which made no sense. We've seen it now with Lecker, thankfully. He did great and he's staying in his spot. But I think there's got to be changes there. Number one is either sack the conditioning coach or get a new plan in that preseason, because something's happened where, there's been a lot of injuries, but a lot of injuries, barring the freak ones, a lot of it, Paul may have a better take on it, and you would know as a better footballer than me, Richie. The fitter you are, the less likely you're going to get those soft tissue injuries and things like that. So
yes and no.
Yes and no. But generally when a team's nice and fit, they survive the bumps and bruises a bit better. So I think there's got to be something to help in the preseason where you can hopefully make that better. It could just be a shit run of luck as well, injury-wise. But, yeah, and interchange. He's got to work on, learn how to use the bloody bench, because he doesn't know how to do it. Even last year when we were going well, it was my complaint every week where I don't understand how he uses his bench. But yeah, that's it. There's a lot of work to do, but I still think they're in a good position to do good things.
I mean, you look at the two injuries at the weekend, or look at the timing of them. That's not tired players, really,
No.
is it?
No.
At the end of the day. So that
No,
was
and those ones were freak accidents. A head knock and a medial ligament and like a tackle. That stuff.
There's definitely an element of, if you're mentally tired, you're going to make a mistake and more likely put yourself in a dangerous situation. So yeah, it's not just necessarily physical tiredness, but also mentally, how awake are you towards the end of the games as well.
So what I'm hearing from that is that I was never a dirty player. I was just mentally tired and making mistakes all the time. So the thug persona is gone.
Just get down from there.
You were probably mentally and physically tired.
Always. I tried to stay out of doing the warm-up because the warm-up used to gas me. So I tried to do as little in the warm-up as possible and just do a lot of stretching, which I never did properly. My question to you is already done. So your question to me.
Yep, my question to you. It's looking more and more likely that the Warriors will miss the finals this year. If that ends up being the case, do you think that will affect the Warriors' popularity they've gained in the past 2 years? When you look at sold-out games every game, the Up the Waz movement, it's just there's been a lot of buzz around the club. Do you think that some of that magic is in risk if we miss the finals this year?
I think it'll take a hit, but not gone all the way. Like they still sold out the next two games. Well, no, this game was definitely sold out. Next week's game against the Eels is close to selling out. They're still on track to be the first team to ever sell out every home game in a season. So it hasn't hit them yet. James Fisher-Harris coming in, I think, is going to help keep the optimism and popularity there. Depending, I'm sure we're going to have news before this season's over for the standoff about Sean, if he's going to play on or retire. If he's playing on, you'll think for sure 2025 would be his final year. That will help. It all depends. If they hit the ground running in 2025, I think they'll be fine. If you're going into like round 6 or 7 and they're like 2 wins, 4 or 5 losses, then I think you'll see the popularity go off, because as much as the Warriors fan base, which we're a part of, are praised for how great like they are and how passionate, we're a fickle bunch. Not all of us, there's some of us that are, as you said, diehards to the end. But we've been there when the Warriors have been traveling tough, and there's you, me, and the other 10 people at the stadium watching the game. So we've been there in those harsh times. But as Jacko said, the popularity will stay, but another year like this will subside fast year. I think it all depends on how they travel next year. If they're not playing well again, it will start to go back to pre-COVID times, where they were, a good crowd was like 10,000. A third of what they're getting now, basically. But yeah, the idiots like me will still be there, rain, hail, or shine, regardless of how good or bad they are, because some of us are like that. But yeah, I can definitely see if it's pissing down with rain and they're on like a losing streak, I can see why some people would say, no, I'll stay home. But
weather's a big theme, because it's not a very good stadium for
you. Hush your mouth, Paul.
Oh my goodness!
How dare you say that? It's the greatest stadium on the planet.
Very few places have actually stayed dry. Right? It's an old stadium that could do with upgrading. One end isn't even covered at all, right? And then all your food trucks are outside as well. So it's not a great stadium for when it's wet.
It's only water, Paul. It's only water.
Warriors winning keeps you warm.
So I can understand why the on a rainy day, but on a dry day, look, hopefully this is the time that you put your real effort into converting those casual fans into fanatics, right? Like you guys are. And I think the Warriors are a lot more switched on that front than Rugby Union is here. And I think they've made a lot more effort in that space. Not just about the game, but it's also about the experience at the game. Because all the turning off the lights, how they bring on the fan, it's not, you're not just there to watch the game. You're there for the experience, and they put a lot of effort into that. So I don't think you'll see the drop off as you might have done in previous years, because I think they've switched on that it's not just about the winning.
They've definitely last year and this year have definitely improved the game day experience, which was one of their goals. If you listen to some of the interviews they did, because it's not just about the game, it's about everything. You want it to be enjoyable for every part. I saw there was Jacko said leagues are not union softies to Paul. Yeah, Bjorn actually asked a question there, since we're still in the question, saying, will the NRLW team win a premiership before the NRL team? I think so. I think I said it a few weeks ago that I feel like every Warriors team, bar first grade, will win a premiership before the first grade do. New South Wales Cup, SG Ball, Harold Mats have already done it. The under-20s have already done it. So we get SG Ball, New South Wales Cup, and NRLW. If they can nab them all, they would have won all of it before first grade. And I heard, I didn't want to bring it up because I don't know if someone was taking the piss or not, but there were rumors that our new NRLW coach was trying to lure Tamika Upton over here. But I don't know how accurate that is. She does have a good relationship with him. But yeah, I don't know. If that happened, then they'll get it first year back with the best NRLW player running around. But yeah, I think so. But what about you?
I'm sorry. What did you just say there, Brad?
About what? The best NRLW player running around, Tamika Upton.
And not the. I was going to say, Millie Boyle. Surely, I'm just wow. You must feel dirty saying that. Jeez.
She won the Dell M. She's not the best. I'm not going to say anything else that will incriminate me, guys. We don't know who's watching tonight. No, she is. She's been the best player. But yeah, and Jacko said it is accurate, but very unlikely. Yeah, I don't see her coming. Bjorn said my restraining order would stop that. No, that's the other player that everyone's trying to get me to talk about. Millie Elliott, as she likes to be called now, probably won't be coming. But yeah, I will be looking forward to that. I will be looking forward to Millie's first game at Mount Smart. Which I'll most likely be going to with my partner, so that will be interesting. But yes, I don't see her wanting to come here. She's kind of got her life sorted at Newcastle for as long as she wants to be there. She's like the queen of the castle over there, so I don't see it happening. But it's a great pipe dream. I think, is that all the questions, Paul?
Yep, I think so.
Because we're just fapping now. We'll go on to the next round, starting with the Warriors Tigers lineups.
Yep.
When Paul remembers, there we go. No, that's the ladder, Paul. Honestly, I don't know what we pay you for.
I'll get into the Warriors lineup.
Yep, give me the Warriors lineup, mate.
All right, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is starting fullback. The wingers, Dylan Watene-Zelezniak, Ed Kossi. And very young centre pairing, Ali Leatawa, Moala Graham Taufa. Halves are Chanel Harris Tavita, Tamaide Martin. Forward pack, Adam Fanor Blake, Wade Egan, Mitch Barnett, Marata Niokore, Kirk Capewell, Dylan Walker. Interchange bench, Freddie Lussick, Jackson Ford, Jazz Tivanga, Leka Halasima.
What's your thoughts on the team? This is actually the team I predicted in my review that I posted on Monday. I predicted Moala and Ed would come in. So it's what I expected, at least.
Yeah, it's kind of what we have to. I feel like Webby's hand's been forced through injury.
I feel it's the best team they can name right now.
Pretty much. I know Leatawa and Moala Graham Taufa have a ton of potential. I'm just worried about having them two and Ed Kossi. all three haven't had a lot of first grade game time this year, and it's must win territory. So the best thing is it's against the Tigers. So the Tigers have not been. They're not a winning team. So hopefully, I've gone and jinxed it. Hopefully,
Yeah, thanks for that,
we
mate.
can-
Jeez.
yeah. But
Um,
I'm happy enough with it.
Yeah, it is. It's the best they've got right now, so I'm fine with it. Ed Cossey, he hasn't had the greatest time when he's come back in this year. Moala had a great debut, and I'm sure he'll offer it again. Hopefully, there's no injuries to the back five, so we can actually see Lecker give us a stint in the forwards, and Roger back at fullback. It's what everyone's been bitching about all year, so we get to see it now.
Yeah.
So one of the sort of comments was that they kept going to the left edge and sort of ignoring the right edge. Do you think that'll change with sort of two rookies on that side compared to and having Dylan on the other side?
Yeah, I think it will. I think hopefully they've learned their lesson that just going left all the time wasn't working, and they'll actually use it. It was real frustrating because Roger, as a player, generally likes to go right, which was always funny that they picked him to be a left centre when he prefers the right. It made no sense. But yeah, Dallin out there on the right, Roger swinging to the right. It made sense against the bloody Raiders that you'd go right, but they kept wanting to go left. And then, like the first time they let Roger go right, they scored. Millie, a lot of the other tries they scored on the left, which is why Chanel wasn't enjoying the kicking. But yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm assuming Chanel's going to be goal kicker in this one too, so he gets the perfect chance to beat those demons that he faced last week. So hopefully the team helps him out and gets a bit closer to the post to give him a few soft ones to get the confidence back up.
Couldn't get much closer than the last one he had against the Raiders.
Yeah. And then the Tigers team, we'll go with them at fullback. We've got Dream Buller on the wings. We've got Luke, I think it's Laui'i, and Charlie Staines. Yeah. Solomona Faiatapi and Stafford Toa in the centres, Lachlan Galvin and Latu Fainu in the halves, Stefano Tukumanu, Api Coruscant and Whenua Paul front row, Ruben Porter, Sam Fainu in the second row, and Isaiah Papali'i at lock. And then the bench, we've got Talon Silva, Alex Sifat, Sione Fainu, and Alex Twal. It's not a bad team. It's not a bad team for what they've got.
It's not bad. They just hopefully they get a sin bin and or two. This will be the game they don't get a sin bin.
Yeah, yeah, true. But yeah, I think the Warriors will be too much for them here. So I'm going with the Warriors. Bjorn said Capewell did a good kickoff. Wonder if he can kick goals. Yeah, they actually said Mitch Barnett can kick goals. Capewell can kick goals. I'm sure there's probably someone else in there that can as well.
Seen Tamati Martin kick goals before.
Yeah,
Dylan Walker have pops at goal, but no, I'm like you. I want to see
Barnett's actually a pretty good goal kicker.
He is, but I want to see Chanel, slot a few and get his confidence back.
Yeah, and Jacko said Tigers have a dangerous spine, but we should dominate the middle and get the win. Yeah, if the Warriors forwards do what they did against the Raiders and the backs actually decide to play, typical show ponies, they should get the job done. So yeah, I'm going Warriors. Did you pick Warriors as well?
Yeah, I'm tipping Warriors. I remember at the back end of last year, the Tigers nearly got one over us when we were heavily fancied as well. So I'm wary. I'm wary. Hamilton. Yeah, but I think we'll do them.
It's because we played at Hamilton, mate. No, it's a horrible place. But it was good seats. I enjoyed it going down there. But yeah, so we'll go on to the rest of the round if Paul's got the fixtures. So the first game on Friday was Warriors-Tigers. So we both picked Warriors. Jacko's off. See you later, Jacko.
Hi, Jacko.
So yeah, both pick Warriors. Next game on Friday is Eels Storm. I've gone with the Storm.
Yep, Storm.
And then Saturday we've got Broncos Bulldogs. I've gone with Broncos. I'm riding the Reynolds train.
Yep.
And as Paul mentioned, Bulldogs don't like playing away. So yeah, have to go Broncos there. Saturday game. The next one is Cowboys Sharks. I've gone with Sharks. This is one of the ones I was a bit unsure on, but I feel like the Sharks are going to get the Cowboys. I can't tell you why.
It's a coin flip of the game, isn't it? I'm going Cowboys.
I'm just thinking of what Simon's picked and going opposite, I think. So I think he would have gone Cowboys.
Yeah.
I'm trying to win a comp here.
The Cowboys are $1.75. The Sharks are $2.10. The Cowboys only being 4-4 at home. Actually, they play better away than they do at home. And with the Sharks having a 5-3 away record, as you say, that's definitely a good. Sharks are definitely a good shout.
Stop giving Simon ideas. And Simon also just mentioned that Sky's going to be moving rugby league around on different channels due to the Olympics. So check your TV guide for watching the games. So cheers that. And Bjorn said he's off to the Dolphins game this weekend.
Enjoy, Bjorn.
That'll be good. So the last game on Saturday, we've got Roosters Manly. I've gone with the Roosters. I think at home and after that loss last week, they're going to want to step up. So I'm going Roosters.
I'm going Roosters as well.
So I'll be honest, the odds here do surprise me because we're talking about fourth hosting fifth. And the Roosters are $1.38 and the Eagles are $3.05. So they're longer odds than the previous game. Where I'm surprised it's that I'd thought it'd be closer than that, but there you go.
Yeah, that's value Manly.
And then Sunday, I think, is fairly straightforward. We got Dragons Panthers. I've gone with Panthers.
Yes, Panthers.
Yeah. Then we got Dolphins Titans. I've gone with Dolphins.
Me too.
And then the last game of the round, Raiders Rabbits. I've gone with Rabbits.
Oh,
which maybe they're not straightforward.
I went Rabbitohs as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to add that one to the multi because the Rabbits don't travel. Whilst they've been on a good run, those wins have been at home. They've only had 2 wins away so far this season, but 5 at home. So they don't travel well. Also, the Raiders are $1.64 and the Rabbits are $2.30. So that one's been pulled from the multi boys, even though you've both gone for the Rabbits there.
That's fine. Take that one off us. We're still going to lose your multi somewhere else. It doesn't matter.
We'll find a way.
And Bjorn said Manly smoked them last time. Take Manly with the line.
I might do that.
Good advice. That's good advice. I haven't done it.
Noting that down now, Bjorn. I'll blame you next week if it doesn't come through.
You be ready for some DMs from Richie attacking you personally for costing the multi.
Perhaps I should pull that game from it as well, but no. Okay.
So that's it for the NRL. So we'll quickly go over Super League before we let everyone go. Wigan remain at the top of the ladder, but their lead has been reduced to 2 points after their loss this round. They're sitting on 28 points. Warrington and Hull KR sit second and third on 26 points. And then we've got St. Helens, Catalans, and Salford, 4th to 6th, all on 22 points. And the results, we had Uddersfield defeated Salford 16-8. Warrington defeated St. Helens 24-10. Lee defeated London 36-6. Hull FC defeated Wigan 24-22. Hull KR defeated Leeds 20-12. And Castleford defeated Catalans 24-18. And then this week, we've got Uddersfield versus Leeds, Wigan versus Warrington, Hull KR versus London, Lee versus St. Helens, Salford versus Castleford, Catalans versus Hull FC. So there's a few good games in there where some moving shaking for the top 4, I guess. But we will see. Anything else you want to add before we let everyone go?
No, we'll let everyone go. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in tonight and joining us on the Standoff with Brad and Richie. For your weekly update on Rugby League, tune into our show next week at 8:30 here on Facebook or YouTube, or at your convenience on iHeartRadio or Spotify. Just remember to search for New Zealand Sport Radio. Cheers again for joining me, Richie, from Napier this time, and cheers, Paul, for your help in the background. And good night, everyone.